Welcome to Health Mastermind Series 3. Today's topic is sugar. Life is so sweet. I'm Adity Sharma, certified naturopath and integrative nutrition health and wellness coach. I'm passionate about healthcare and practice 360-degree approach to make sustainable changes that improve your health and happiness. I also want to inspire people to become the healthiest version of themselves. Along with me, there is Dr. Aneeta Madhok, who is an integrative living coach and psychologist. She looks at life from a self-healing point of view and enables clients to live vibrant, healthy, and happy lives. Another is Dr. Swetha, ophthalmologist, integrative nutrition and health coach, who is passionate about healthy eating, living, and believes in the philosophy of food as a medicine. And you are what you eat and think. So as we all know, Health Mastermind is a forum for health coaches who are intensely passionate about our work and want to bring insights into many aspects of lifestyle and health to the world at large. This is the third in our series, which will meet our goals. If you're inspired by what we do, write in. We get hugely encouraged by your response. Send us your queries on daily health practices and we'll take up the topics suggested by you. Today's topic, life is so sweet. Yes, we are going to discuss sugar. So what do you think? Is all sugar bad for us? Let's learn from each other about the bitter reality of sugar. But before we do that, I just want to remind you that in our next series, we will be discussing Life is So Sweet Part 2. Send us your lifestyle patterns, how much sugar you consume daily, and what are the foods you crave for. How do you treat yourself when you get happy, sad, angry? Tune into our next Health Mastermind series to know more about this subject. Now, let's explore what our science and experiences teaches us about sugar. So, sugar is often termed as a sweet poison. Sugar is the number one thing we can find everywhere in every food. The term sugar is commonly associated with sweet treats or a white crystalline powder. However, sugar is also a classification of carbohydrates. All sugars will break down into glucose at different rate depending on the type of the sugar consumed. Glucose is produced by our body as it breaks down carbohydrates, both simple such as table sugar and complex such as whole grains. So they are processed differently by the body and enter the bloodstream at a different rate. It is used as a primary source of fuel by our body or stored in liver and muscles for the future. Sugar provides a strong, pleasant, and sweet taste, at the same time delivers energy when ingested. Sugar turns on many mechanisms of disease like obesity, diabetes, arthritis, and gut issues, and also creates inflammation. It fuels cancer and heart diseases, drives hormonal changes, slows metabolism, and literally shuts down the body's ability to burn fat. On top of all that, sugar is highly addictive. The more we eat, the more we want.
Carbohydrates are one of the major macronutrients of the diet, which provides us with energy to perform all the basic metabolic functions. Sugars are nothing, carbohydrates are again simple carbs and complex carbs. And sugars are nothing but simple carbs, which gives us instant energy in the form of calories without any added benefits. But we also have natural sugars found in the fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and milk. Are these a problem? Absolutely not. In fact, they have disease-preventing advantage. So the problem is always with the excess consumption of added sugars in our modern diet. Research has proved that excess consumption of added sugars is associated with type 2 diabetes, hypertension, obesity, non-alcoholic fatty livers, and also some forms of cancer. So it's time to rethink our diet and in order to escape the pandemic of diseases.
Well, sugar, honey has been eulogized in mythology, ancient literature, and modern art and expression. Sugar inspires love, poetry, and songs across the world. In every religion, sweet things are offered as food to the gods. It's a part of religious rituals all over the world. All this makes it very difficult for anybody to really understand what sugar does to the body, and makes it very hard to accept the truth that it is the number one cause of heart attacks, strokes, many forms of cancer, dementia, and of course, type 2 diabetes, which is becoming a pandemic today. Sugar is the only part of the food that we consume on a daily basis that is addictive, really addictive, not just because we like the taste of it, but even the impact on the body, the biological impact of sugar is addictive. One of the most important ideas that has driven research in nutrition over the last 20 to 30 years is that sugar is the basic reason for obesity, which leads to a host of lifestyle illnesses and ailments. A trivial fact is that research says that if you have a high sugar consumption, you have 3 times the risk of a heart attack, and there are more and more cases of young children with obesity and prediabetes. Sugar is the underlying cause of obesity and overweight. Sugar makes you sick and fat, both. Okay, we are now going to discuss what role sugar plays in your diet and life. And do you feel that it is the biggest enemy of your body? Aditi?
Yeah, well, sugar has gained a bad reputation in the market. Not all sugars are bad, but sugar is a staple for survival as our cells use glucose for fuel. Our body needs carbohydrates to perform daily functions. Some people believe that the source of the sugar doesn't matter, but because our body will break down into glucose, but it really matters what form of sugar you are consuming. It's a white refined sugar, which is the main culprit, as it is processed more to make it white. Thus, calcium, iron, and useful vitamins get destroyed. And to digest that sugar, calcium and iron get leached from the body, and our body becomes deficient in them. It affects our bones and it manifests in the decay of teeth. White sugar is highly acidic in nature. Sugar is everywhere. It's not always we are consuming directly, but there are other hidden sources found in packed items, beverages. I personally not a big fan of sugar. I mostly incorporate natural sugars which exist in fruits, vegetables, dates, jaggery, and honey. Though you are consuming sugars in these natural foods, you're also consuming vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber, which in particular can help reduce the glucose spike associated with eating sugar. When it comes to sugar consumption, awareness is the key, and excess of everything is bad. Foods in restaurants and on grocery store shelves often have so much sugar that the amount we actually eat creeps upon us. Paying attention to sugar consumption on an average day can be an eye-opening exercise to see how much sugar we are really eating versus how much we think we are eating.
Yeah, I don't say that this is the biggest, sugar is the biggest enemy of our body, because we need carbohydrate to survive. But the point that I'm concerned is how much of sugar and what kind of sugar we have in our diet that creates the problems. According to the WHO recommendation, adults and children should reduce their daily intake of free sugars to less than 10% of their total energy intake, and further reduction below 5% will have an additional health benefits. And this excludes the natural sugars in our diet. We might say we don't eat sweets or we don't add sugars to our diet, but here's a simple example of like how sugars are hidden in our everyday foods. 1 tablespoon of ketchup contains around 4 grams of free sugars, and a single can of cool drink contains around 40 grams of free sugars. That is around 10 teaspoons, which is far beyond the recommendation. Hence, being little more conscious about our food choices, having properly educated about our food is the only way we can escape from this. So Aneeta, what do you think about it?
Well, I do believe that there is plenty of carbohydrates in the vegetables that we consume and in the legumes that we consume, in the grains that we consume. Sugar in the form we know it actually, is not required. We live in an environment that everywhere you go, you are confronted with sugary, delicious, and toxic food. It's everywhere. If you are obese or diabetic, it's hard not to consume sugar. 50% of sugar, 50% of food in restaurants, schools, and other institutions is fast food, which is loaded with sugar. When you walk home, everywhere the corner convenience stores have lots of sugary treats displayed very prominently. Food companies deliberately and intentionally create foods that are addictive, which keeps their customers coming back to them. They have taste institutes where they hire craving experts who specialize in finding the bliss point of foods. The average human body, adult human body, contains about 5 liters of blood, your body as well as mine. A healthy person, not diabetic, will have a fasting blood sugar level of 80 milligrams per decaliter. This amounts to approximately 4 grams of sugar, which is less than 1 teaspoon in your entire blood for a healthy human being. So that's a very, very minute quantity of sugar. So when you consume even 1-inch piece of jaggery or 1 teaspoon of jaggery or honey, it gets absorbed in your blood immediately and spikes the sugar levels even in a healthy non-diabetic person. This is dangerous for the body. So it produces a lot of hormones like insulin, adrenaline, and cortisol to push that sugar into your blood cells to keep your blood level normal. On a continuous diet of sugar, the hormones will keep pushing that sugar into your cells, and after a point, it cannot stay as sugar, it gets converted into fat. You continue to have more sugar, and still further along the road, the insulin receptors on your cells get blocked and insulin resistance sets in. This means that no more sugar is getting pushed into the cells and it stays in the blood where hemoglobin gets glycosylated. You get diabetes, and the high blood sugar levels damage your organs and diabetic complications start setting in. Not only that, your pancreas gets tired of producing more and more insulin and might pack up, and then you get insulin dependent diabetes. That plus the addictive quality of sugar, as Adity explained, means that yes, sugar is the #1 enemy of the body. Jaggery, dates, and honey are not acceptable forms of sugar because all these have actually the same toxic impact on the body as refined sugar does. According to me, anybody who consumes more than 1 to 2 teaspoons of sugar in any form, whether it's refined sugar, whether it's honey, whether it's jaggery or dates, not more than 1 to 2 teaspoons per day. That's the maximum. In an Economic Times article a couple of years ago, I found that the per capita consumption of sugar in India alone is 19 grams per year. So can you imagine each person consumes more than 1.5 kilograms of sugar per month? Of course, I don't consume so much sugar, but there must be people who must be consuming much more than that. And you can imagine what the impact is on the health. No wonder we are in the middle of a diabetes epidemic all over the country and the world, and in the richer countries and richer families, an obesity epidemic too.
Very true. So, Aditi, being a naturopath and a gut health coach, how does sugar affect gut health? Can you explain about it?
Yeah, well, our gut microbiome is a vast community of microorganisms, microscopic organisms, including viruses, bacteria, and fungi. It also has a nervous system which produces neurotransmitters, which communicate with the brain through the gut-brain axis. These transmitters, including serotonin and dopamine, affect our mood, craving, and make us addicted. When we ingest sugary foods, it gives us the feeling of pleasure. That's why we often end up eating more for pleasure. Research shows that our diet rich in sugar can alter the gut microbiome. The composition and diversity of gut microbiome plays a vital role in the metabolism of glucose and subsequently blood sugar levels. A healthy gut is extremely beneficial in the balance of glycemia. Another protective feature of a healthy microbiome is its ability to taper down the inflammation and oxidative stress. Diabetes is a chronic condition that takes millions of lives every year. Fortunately, we are now one step closer to understanding the full role of microbes in our gut on blood sugar levels. The presence of sugar, mostly in processed foods and beverages, appears to be a critical culprit in IBS and other digestive-related issues. As sugar feeds the bad gut bacteria, which overnumbers the good bacteria population and could be one of the causes of candida overgrowth. There are a number of ways through diet and lifestyle which helps in maintaining equilibrium in the gut microbiome. So, Aneeta, you yourself have successfully reversed your diabetes, and that's a great achievement, I would say. So what do you want to say about sugar and diabetes relation?
Well, I've already spoken at length about how insulin resistance builds up in the body and leads to not only type 2 diabetes, but also to diseases like PCOS, cardiovascular disease, liver disease, some forms of cancer, Alzheimer's, asthma, and a host of other lifestyle disorders. In relationships, I often advise clients that if any relationship is toxic to you, there's no reason why you should continue to stay in that relationship, whether it's a friend in school or a boss at work or an office colleague and even your spouse. So similarly, when there is food that is toxic to you, there's really no need or reason to continue to consume it. Why do you want to love something that does not love you back, whether it's a human being or any food item? Why love sugar if it doesn't love you back? Point to think about. Socially, we have to fit in. So we do have to sweeten our coffee and tea and have desserts. Two great natural products help to manage with these things. One of them is stevia and the other is monk fruit. Other artificial sweeteners also exist, but these need to be minimized as they have many side effects. The rest of the time, use naturally occurring sweet foods like sweet potatoes, apples, and other low glycemic fruits and vegetables. Once you get your mind and body de-addicted from sugar, you will actually learn to enjoy the real sweetness of life and food in its natural form. I want to point the camera at Swetha. So Swetha, as a doctor, what do you want to say to our viewers about sugar and hormonal health? And what is your point of view on sugar?
The changes in our food choices in the recent times actually led to excessive intake of added sugars and fats in our diets, and which is an important contributing factor for the so-called metabolic syndrome. It is nothing but a group of conditions that together raise your risk for coronary heart diseases, stroke, diabetes. A person is said to have metabolic syndrome when he has higher waistline, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high triglycerides, low HDL levels, and the evidence is very clear that excess intake of added sugars and the way they're metabolized in our bodies is one of the major causes for this. But the good news is also that it can be reversed with just food and lifestyle modifications. So I would always like to advise people, always prioritize natural sugars like fruits, which have additional nutritional benefits and also has plenty of fiber. And try to read the labels to better understand how much excess sugar we intake on day-to-day basis, and also to make a better food choices. And also limit the intake of refined carbs and include more of the complex carbs.
It's only when you de-addict yourself that you can discover how sweet life really is. Life
Very
is
true.
so sweet.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Balance is a key when it comes to creating optimal health in the body, and this includes blood sugar. Diet and lifestyle factors can influence blood sugar levels. Be the detective, as Swetha told earlier, that be detective of reading labels. When reading ingredients labeled on packed foods, you may be surprised to find that sugar is not always labeled clearly. It's always mentioned with the different names, like ending with O's, lactose, sucrose, maltose, and many more. Yeah. So hope our viewers gained a good understanding about the bitter reality of sugar. So before I close, I would like to announce that our next series will be on Life is So Sweet Part 2. So there is more to come. And we would love if it would send us in our best practices, which you are following, your questions and suggestions on this interesting and important subject. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Aneeta, and thank you, Swetha, for joining and sharing your knowledge and experiences with all our viewers and audience.
And thank you, Adity, for
Thank
anchoring
you.
today's Health Mastermind.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
Thank you.